There are forests older than memory, forests that stretch for miles, where no sunlight reaches the ground, where silence is thicker than air. In these woods, the trees do not only grow, they watch. They keep secrets. And those who wander too deep sometimes vanish, leaving behind only whispers, only echoes, only fear. Tonight, you will hear the story of a forest that has swallowed entire villages, travelers, and souls. The locals call it Black Hollow. It looks like any other forest by day. But when night falls, it becomes something else, something alive. Part 1. The Legend of Black Hollow. For centuries, people spoke of Black Hollow with unease. Old hunters told tales of lights flickering between the trees, of voices calling their names in the dark. Entire search parties disappeared within its depths. Those who returned described strange things, paths that twisted back on themselves, time that seemed to stretch and bend, and shadows that followed them even when no one else was near. Some claimed to see figures standing at the edge of the forest, pale and silent, watching. Others heard children laughing, even though no families had lived near the forest for decades. The most terrifying stories, however, were about the ones who went missing. Farmers, travelers, even whole groups of woodcutters vanished, leaving behind no trace, except for their voices, which, people say, still call out at night. Part 2. The Hiker. In the late autumn of 2006, a young hiker named Aaron set out to explore Black Hollow. He had heard the warnings but laughed them off, convinced the stories were just folklore. He carried a backpack, a flashlight, and a camcorder, determined to document his journey. His first hours were uneventful. Birds sang, the sun glimmered through the leaves, and the forest seemed quiet, even peaceful. But as the day wore on, the sky darkened. A thick fog began to roll in, swallowing the path. Aaron filmed himself saying, "I'm fine, just a little turned around." But the footage showed something else. Behind him, at the edge of the fog, stood a tall, unmoving figure. Aaron never noticed. He kept walking. Part 3. The First Night. When darkness fell, Aaron pitched his tent. The camera recorded him cooking a small meal, laughing nervously, pretending he wasn't spooked. But in the background of the recording, faint whispers can be heard. Not wind, not animals. Whispers, like a dozen voices speaking at once, too soft to understand. At 2:47 a.m., the camera turned on by itself. Aaron was asleep, the lens pointed toward the trees outside his tent, where 3 pale faces stared in from the darkness, unmoving, their eyes wide and black. When the sun rose, the faces were gone. Aaron never knew they had been there. Part 4. The Lost Path. By the second day, Aaron realized he was lost. No matter which direction he walked, the trail looped back to where he started. His compass spun wildly. Useless. The trees seemed closer together, pressing in on him, their branches stretching like arms. On the footage, Aaron can be heard breathing heavily, saying, "It feels like the forest is watching me." That night, his flashlight died. In the darkness, the whispers returned, louder now. He shouted into the night, but the whispers only grew, circling his tent, closer and closer, until they stopped all at once. Silence. And then, a single child's voice, right beside the microphone. "You shouldn't be here." Part 5. The Third Night. The final recording is the most disturbing. Aaron's camcorder shows him stumbling through the forest, wide-eyed, terrified, muttering to himself. His voice shakes as he says, "There's something following me. I can see it between the trees." The footage flickers, glitching, shadows dart across the frame, though the forest is empty. Finally, Aaron drops the camera. The lens lies sideways on the ground, showing his feet as he runs. Heavy footsteps echo behind him, not matching his pace. Then a scream. "Raw! Desperate! Cut short!" The camera keeps recording. For 30 more minutes, the forest is silent. But in the very last seconds, a pale hand reaches into the frame and pulls the camera into the darkness. Aaron was never seen again. Search teams found his abandoned backpack and the broken remains of his camera. The recordings were leaked online, dismissed by some as a hoax. But those who listen closely hear things others don't. Whispers under the static. Names spoken. Some swear the voices call out to them directly. Today, no one enters Black Hollow after dark. Locals refuse to even walk near its edge. They say the forest doesn't just swallow people, it keeps them. And if you stand at the tree line long enough, you'll hear the voices too. The voices of those who never escaped. So if you ever find yourself walking down a lonely road and the trees begin to close in, don't stop. Don't listen. And above all, don't answer when the forest calls your name, because once it does, you'll never leave.